Welcome again to my music magazine new releases series. This is the second episode, which is supposed to encompass albums that were released in April, the back end of the month. Now, my first one, I think I had 11. Well, I'm going to go one better here. I've got 12. Sorry, no, correction. I've got another 11 for you. So I'm going to really race through these. There will be another episode for April because of the quantity of material. Over 20 albums I've downloaded in April, and I've almost heard them all, some of them twice. Let's get started then. The first one up is Further Joy by The Regrets. This is their third album. It's very much indie, and they've replaced their punk style with a more rock evolution. Gleaming synthesizers, vocal harmonies, drum loops are added to the melodies, and guitars are now a little bit further back in the mix. Nice stuff though. Slight hint of No Doubt, I thought, on the punchy female vocals. Is an album called Watch My Moves by Kurt Vile. Now, of course, some of you will know Kurt Vile was in a band called The War on Drugs. He was their guitarist and also wrote a lot of their material. He left in 2008 to do a solo career, and this, would you believe it, is his ninth. I've got a number of his albums, but I've always had problems getting into them. They've always sort of sent me into a sleepy doze. And many of his albums are described as meditative slacker pop by critics. It's another album, as I said, another artist that I rarely get to listen to beyond the first listen, for reasons I've mentioned before. I concur with that meditative aspect for sure, and the songs appear similar in mood, content and impact. The synth tones are equal to the layers of woozy slide guitar. This one though I've listened to 3 times now, and yeah, I'm starting to get into this guy. On this album he duets with Kate LeBon on Jesus on a Wire. Great cut, that. One of the album's most pop friendly moments. And he gets into sort of rustic folk rock with some swaying acoustic guitars and violins on Chazzy Don't Mind. As I said, I'm starting to enjoy this man, and there was another track that really highlights his talents, and would you believe it, the title evades me. Like Exploding Stones, I've got it. Best on the album. Right, let's move on. Third album then. This is Pursuit of Ends by a band called High Pulp. They're an avant-garde jazz psychedelic post-rock band with experimental electronic music all mixed together. They're based in Seattle. They've got infectious drum beats, extravagant sax runs, and I heard bits and pieces of Miles Davis, Weather Report and Brand X. Collins' dip into jazz rock. I'm not a jazz nerd. I'll just say that it's highly accomplished. Didn't move me that much, but great sounds in the background and full of class. Next up, Envy of None, the debut album by Envy of None. They were described by one critic as a supergroup. Why? Well, because they have guitarist Alex Lifeson, who was in Rush, bassist Andy Curran, who was in another band, Coney Hatch, who I'd never heard of, and a famous producer-engineer, Alfio Annibale, and singer Maya Wynn. That's a supergroup these days. My idea of a supergroup back in the day was Blind Faith, with Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood, and ELP with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Times change, I guess. But anyway, let's have some comments on this. I haven't been a fan of Rush really over the years. Managed to avoid them. My image of that heavy sort of arena style rock. But this album I liked. Described as exhibiting ambient cinematic darkness that evokes a powerful atmosphere. Sounds great, doesn't it? To me it was a prog style with some spacey synth rock montage and those mellow female vocals that caught my ear. That mixed with this heavy charged synth guitar mix perfectly, and it reminded me a little bit of Garbage with Shirley Manson at the front of those American guys in the rhythm section. I can recommend Liar as a track to keep your ear to. Very gothic and ethereal. First listen, very pleasant on the ear. So, what have we got next? Well, we've got another album by King Gizzard and the Lizard King. It's called Omnium Gatherum, and I did get into Butterfly, which was released back last year, but there's been such a huge amount of material released by this band, and I haven't got around to listen to any of it. So this is my take on that album. They're an Aussie band, and they really love recording and releasing music. This is a double, and it evolves with a number of styles. The opener, no less, is 17 minutes, a bit of a rock jam with lots of hot guitar and snippets of frantic vocals. There's a harmonica bit thrown in, and if you survive that onslaught, you'll visit some thrash metal, a bit of jazz funk, a Beck-style funky beats, a bit of rap, and a brief visit to singer-songwriter and blues. Yeah, it's probably a bit like that. I haven't heard all of it, but I reserve judgment. But anyway, you've got a little inkling, a poke your head through the door as to what to expect. Band who've had a very long, successful career, delivering lots of quality albums, most of which I've never heard. They're called Spiritualized, and their latest is called Everything Was Beautiful. I listened to this yesterday. Unfamiliar, as I said, with the band. I've got their albums but never play them. This sounded highly accomplished, powerful rock songs with a plethora of arrangements. There's some horns in there, there's some woodwinds, there's lots of guitars. It becomes almost too much to get your teeth into. The influences are in abundance, and they're all at the head of creator Jason Pierce's palette. Deserves much more listening time, this. I sense that this album is an acquired taste. I felt like I'd love to have been in the production room as the songs were assembled, so that I'd know what's on each piece. It's fulsome production, to be sure. Is it new era Phil Spector? Track recommendations? Well, start with the last track, Always Together With You. Fine stuff it is. Next, Mahaal by Toro Yi Mo, aka Chaz Bear. Got a few of this guy's albums as well. And confession, hasn't listened to much of them. This one I found extremely appealing. A psychedelic outing with a focus on gnarly guitars, said one critic, and all flavours of funk, up-tempo guitar-led indie rock, great use of horns on tracks, particularly Goes By So Fast, which is a highlight, which messes with psychedelic flutes no less. It's predominantly an instrumental set, but we get rollicking funk as well, followed by spacey jazz. Influence of Prince I heard throughout. The tracks often segue together. Good stuff. Get to listen to it. Mahaal by Torre Yo Mo. To go. Next two ribbons. Let's Eat Grandma is the name of the band. They integrate electronic, rock and acoustic sounds. The guitar solos soar over a bed of glimmering electronics. Hall of Mirrors is typical of this, and sax is added to enhance that nightly feel. The two female singers, Rosa Walton and Jenny Hollingworth, are the highlight with this band, and they complement the shimmering textures. And then to Fontaines DC, their third album in the last 3 years, they've made 3, it's called Skinty Fia. It's a post-punk indie rock effort. They're based in Dublin. They're from Dublin, but they're now based in London. Songs have a very social and political message, has an early 80s feel about it. Bands such as The Sound and The Only Ones came to mind as I was listening, although they do dip into some more raw punk style as you get into the album. Standout for me was a track called Jackie Down the Line. Then to Look at It Look at It in the Light by Kate Bollinger. This is folk rock, softly spoken, nuanced vocal style. Very self-aware lyrics and a songcraft highlighted by complex chord colours. Kanye West apparently sampled Candy, a song of her second album, I Don't Want to Lose, which came out in 2019. This is the title track. Forget that. Let's move on. Right, I've got to the last one. This is called I Don't Wait for It. I Don't Wait for a Sign. And it's by called the Janines. Very jangly indie pop, this, a female band with the vocalist guitarist Alicia Janine, and she's got a bassist drummer, Jed Smith, helping her along. Simple, joyous songs, combination of acoustic and electric guitars, an up-tempo feel to it. There's a few ballady songs that hint at other indie bands before them. The Go-Betweens, the Australian band, came to mind for me. Bit repetitious, but okay. So there we are. We've got through 11. God knows how long this took. But stay with some of this music. There will be links, of course, to them in the description. That's my lot. In the next one, there's going to be another dozen, and I'm going to feature some 2 legends, 3 in fact, Bonnie Raitt, Rai Kuda and Taj Mahal. So don't forget, that's coming up.